Welcome to the second episode of Flow State. Flow State is a new series that we're doing on reviewing the best world flows and creating users for the best companies out there. Really excited to start with the second episode. I'm also very thankful for all the positive feedback we've received over the past week since we released our first episode. We do things that make a difference, that make an impact. You guys reacted in a way that surprised us and really got us excited to do the next one. I think I'm going to try to keep it a bit shorter based on your feedback. I'm going to try to keep giving insights on what I think. I'm going to try to be as genuine as possible in my reaction to what I experience as a customer. So just to give you a quick summary, Flow State is all about reviewing these flows, and I'm doing that as the CEO of a company named Upflowy that you can see in the background, who specializes in helping anyone generating amazing experience from call to action to sign up, and feel free to check it out at any time if you think that might help you. So without further ado, let's dive into our next flow. The flow we've selected today is so meaningful to us. We're going to talk about Webflow, and it's not because it has flow in the name, it's just because it's a company we absolutely love. It's a company that has changed the way people think about web design, and I think it's going to change it even more. One thing we like about Webflow is that they have a similar point of view on things than we do at Upflowy, which is that they are trying to make anyone being able to have an amazing experience designing for the web, and I think they do think in terms of flows as well, and that's why I think going into starting with the best, we can expect them to have a very nice looking experience, and that's why we want to unpack for you, give you our reactions on the spot, and try to learn from it, and possibly inspire myself and more of you to follow these best practices and to emulate their success. So let's dive into it. I'm going to do the same thing then for our first episode, which is I'm going to look for them on Google to see how they think about who I am. Maybe they have some data already. So I'm going to type Webflow on Google and see what they come up with. Obviously they bet on their own domain. I love the fact that they start with the idea of a Webflow university, so I can learn. It's a great awareness move. It's a design tool, it's a CMS, and I can sign up for free, which I'm going to do. I think it's good to see that they're quite aligned with their kind of normal sections on Google. I can see that they invest a lot on education through the Webflow tutorials, the university, and one of the USB being all about responsivity, and the fact that they are a CMS, which is kind of the old school model for what they're doing. So I'm going to click on sign up for the ad and land on a landing page that has a lot in it, right? And so it's a bit like a dark environment, very focused, like the call to action are quite visible, although they don't contrast a lot from the rest of the website. It's made in Webflow. I really love this mention. It's showing them that they drink the Kool-Aid. Obviously, it's a very focused experience. I think compared to our first review, it shows that their initial, let's say, ad CMS is kind of more developed in a way that it feels like you're inside Webflow, but you're in a specific use case. And I'm pretty sure that if I go to webflow.com directly, I will have a more complete experience that with a one-page layout, same header, but obviously more content, much more things that you can learn from the landing page compared to the ad landing page, right? So what I think is interesting here in this ad landing page is that because they want to keep their header consistent with their main landing page, once again this one, it means that there might be some potential conflict between the experience here and the experience here, which is exactly why, you know, we dive into this type of issues. I think the web is done in a way that is never perfect, always evolving, and typically that's one of the challenges that come to marketers now. You know, they have landing pages that are focused for specific experiences coming from ads, and there are experiences that are, you know, generalistic, and you need to be able to combine both. And I think they've done a pretty good job. Why? Because the call to action is very similar. It's more like, oh, look, I can either, you know, take the plunge and click on one button or like already give information. So when I look at this form, the first thing I see is that there is 3 fields, and it asks me to create a password already. There is a few things about that, right? Full name, it means that they will never be able to address me properly based on my first name unless they have amazing algorithm, which I never seen at work. For example, if my name has 3 components like Guillaume, you know, Junior, Eng, or, you know, something a bit more refined, where, you know, for example, like French people have a lot of composite names like Pierre, Edouard, whatever. Then, you know, I want to be called like the first part of my name, which is the two first names with a dash in the middle. And if they don't address me like this in an email, it's complicated. So asking me for my full name is a bit tedious, I think, and sometimes might lead to mistake. But I think they make the choice of simplicity, of getting your information as fast as possible. Then email address, nothing wrong with that. And then create password, which, you know, like we've seen already in the previous flow, can come with complexity where you don't ask for confirmation. You might, you know, have the complexity of not saying exactly what your requirements are because you have less space to do so, but why not? So I'm going to engage with that, and then after we're gonna experiment that. I think I'm gonna try to click that in a new window already, so that, yeah, here we go, so that, you know, we couldn't activate the flow. It basically took us to the same page. So that means that we won't be able to do that. So I'm going to try that from the landing page. And then I'm going to put my full name, nothing really problematic with my full name, to be honest. So they shouldn't have an issue isolating my first name to address me in the next EDM, saying, hi, Guillaume, right? And then password-wise, you know, I'm going to use one of the simplest I'm using out there. It doesn't have uppercase, it doesn't have special character. And then, you know, obviously I'm signing to the terms of services. What's happening here is that it didn't work. So I'm going to start again. Password must be, so they use this very outdated, you know, notification, which is atypical from you know, a company like Webflow. Maybe it's linked to their, you know, like ad landing page. So I'm going to add 10 characters, right? And so I'm going to use the same one and then add two more figures at the end to see what they think about it. And now they have a new package requirement. So I typically think that that's a poor experience, and that you can always do better by showing all the requirements that are there, like at least at your first mistakes, but also maybe before you do your first mistake, so that you don't have this loop iteration. I was expecting to see my mistake here. Actually, I've lost. Loom didn't yeah. I was expecting to see my mistake appear close to my password. It appears at the top. So let's comply, right? And I don't think I will ever remember, because 10 characters is actually a lot. Most likely it's like 8 characters, so my typical password have 8 characters. And so now I've clicked on get started and it worked. And I'm going to save that because I want to be able to come back to it. And then what's interesting here is that they actually have a proper flow, which, you know, fills me with joy. It means that, look, I don't have access to the app yet, right? And they enforce on me to take on the flow, which, you know, it's a vision I'm completely aligned with. Why? Because if you don't actually know who the customer is and what he wants when you have a complex product, then very possibly he's going to have a disappointing experience when he lands on your product. So it's much better that they learn about me. And I'm very interested to see what they want to learn about me, right? So the first thing I'm going to take is like, yeah, I'm happy to answer a few questions, because you're gonna tailor my experience to Webflow. What I love about this space is that they don't ask me questions right away. They set up my expectations. And you know, they don't give me really a way out, but they are gentle in the sense that they tell me why they want me to answer more questions, right? What best describes my role? So I'm an entrepreneur. I want to see what happens if I click on others. So if I click on others, there is no additional choice, which means that I'm not in the typical persona. Maybe they don't care and they don't want to iterate. Maybe they will ask me that later. But overall, I think the choice is quite comprehensive and they know who they're talking to. And I think it's a very important question, to be honest. Like I could see how they will use this information in many different ways. So I'm gonna keep going. Who will you be building websites for? Amazing question once again. It can influence the pricing, it can influence the way I have access to templates, it can influence the way I manage my organization, the way I invite other people. So it's for my business. Do you have experiences building websites? Some experiences, experts, and I've used website builder, right? I think this formulation is a bit confusing. Overall, I don't really care. I think I know how to answer this question. I will intuit that the reason why they ask that is to scale the amount of support they will provide me with. There are potentially, like as we've seen in the kind of Google search, that they understand that some users need education. Maybe that's to kind of scale the amount of education I will receive. Very interested to see how that goes. And then finally, what do you want to build today? I want to test Webflow out. Let's be super honest with them, and maybe they'll give me a more comprehensive view of what they're doing. And this small box at the bottom that kind of pops up. It feels like a bit of a nugget, right? Like it's here. Like this doesn't seem like a actionable thing because it doesn't have the same color yet all the other actionable items. So it's not amazingly transparent, but it's there, and you have seen it. Maybe I'm more used to it than others, and overall, like fair game, right? I will call it a fair game, and I want to try it out. And that's it. So I'm inside a Webflow. What surprises me here is the limited kind of action area, right? Like, obviously, there is one button I need to click. The question is, why do they want me to click it, right? And maybe that's a technical coordination between people working on the marketing and the conversion and people working on this like kind of product part of the experience. But I find that this action is quite limited. Then now I'm accessing templates, which is where really most of the apps make the best of the information you've collected at the onboarding level. What I'm interested to see here is whether the templates they've chosen have actually been influenced by the answers I've given, right? And if they did, then they did a great job, because now I can get started, now I can get more value from the tool. I see that there is no education piece. Maybe it's because I'm an experienced user, so maybe I should try to go back, and maybe we'll try that in a second if we have time. But look, there is a lot of interesting stuff here. There is grow my business. I think, to be honest, that's where I went. Grow my business, yes, that's what I'm here to do. I love the fact that the templates reflects in part kind of my intent. So I don't know how intentional that is. I could also have a dream store, such as I could be, for my answers, I could definitely be someone doing some drop shipping, for example, right? Another idea I will have about Webflow is that typically, because they're going to help me replicate a new website, especially because I'm an entrepreneur and I've done it before. They could have asked me for my website, which they didn't, and therefore they could have maybe scraped part of the style from it. Interesting to see, even for my own business, that they actually don't need to do that they want me to start from scratch. Maybe they want to help me create a new brand identity. And then, so new templates tells me that they are very active, that I'm going to have refresh content. I think that's a message behind having this section up top. Free templates, tell me that they are like paid templates, which is another great way to share with me information, and so on, right? And then e-commerce, agency, restaurant, and I think that's where it's not too designed to myself. So I will say that the chances of them actually using my data to this point, actually 50-50. If they did, then it will be really here. And if they did a good job, right? So congrats to them. I think now we have a few more minutes to go back and try kind of a different routes. What I'm going to do is go there and wrap it up by clicking on get started. Interesting to see that they actually don't follow the same flow at all, because they want me to validate my email, which I didn't in the previous flow. Maybe they tested it, I don't know, right? So I'm going to continue with email address, and I'm going to enter kind of the same but different, knowing whether they're going to detect that. Then they ask me a password, and then they have all the requirements, and that's a much better experience. I wouldn't know. Is it because they've used their own system to ask for a password that they couldn't have this kind of legitimately like good experience for the user on the ad landing page? But I think overall this is a much better experience, and they have the show password. So now I know it's 10 characters, and I'm going to be able to enter the same one, right? 10 characters make it harder. Like I'm not used to that. I don't need to save that. Interesting to see that they don't remember it. How should we greet you? All right, that's amazing. So that's a very good way to engage. It's very interesting to see that they didn't do the same way. They're asking for the first name here. So it means that the form on the ad landing page actually kind of shortcuts 3 steps, which are very nicely designed. So I think it's kind of a try. They do maybe an experiment. So I'm going to say Guillaume Eng. Once again, first name, last name together. And I'm not sure they're going to, yeah. And so they greet me as Guillaume Eng, right? Because they don't have my first name, which is okay. I mean, some cultures will be completely fine with that. For example, like I know Chinese culture will prefer having first name and last name. So let's keep going, and then we know what's but I'm just going to try a very typed onboarding. I'm a web designer. I work as part of an agency, and let's say I've never built anything, which is maybe inconsistent, and I want to blog, I want to create an e-commerce. Just to see whether the templates I get access to are different, or whether they are the same. So it seems they are exactly the same, right? So no customization, that's our answer. The question is, how do they use my information? I think that's where powerful sign-up flow will lead to a powerful short-term outcome for the customer. It will show that whatever information I've shared, which is something I kind of I've made my work, right? I've made my part, and I want to get something in return. And a good thing to have in return is suggestions, help, and support, right? So not going to happen there. Maybe later, maybe that's how they re-engage with me. If I receive amazing emails, I'll be definitely happy to share that in the next video. In the meantime, I think I'm happy to wrap it up on this assessment that they've done a very good job having a solid flow, and that's, I think, is the main information. Their flow is top notch. Their flow is very clean. Doesn't have much contextualization, but it asks for information that seems relevant to them. They explain to me why they want the information to be able to tailor it to my persona. Although they don't do it in the template selection, I think they've done overall a very good job. I think they could do better in terms of showing me the value they can generate for me, having shared information. And I think I'm going to wrap it up on that, saying that even a company like Webflow, always room for optimization, always room for growth. And but I'm very thankful for the way they've been able to help the industry grow in terms of letting anyone design amazing experiences. Thanks a lot for today, and stay tuned up to the next one. In the meantime, keep learning every day. Thank you so much.